رَسُولٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ يَتْلُو صُحُفًا مُطَهَّرَةً فِيهَا كُتُبٌ قَيِّمَةٌ. A messenger from God reciting purified pages in which are written clear directives. This is an explanation of Al-Bayyinah, or the sign, referred to in the previous verse. Their demand is that if it is desired that they profess faith, then an angel should directly descend from the Almighty while reading purified pages in which explicit and definite directives are written. It is evident from the words Rasulun Minallah that they did not want any messenger from among human beings claiming that he received divine revelations. In fact, they wanted some angel directly sent by the Almighty who would read untouched and pure pages. The word Sahifa, singular of Suhuf, also connotes a page. The implication is that they will not believe the angel if he merely informs them of the messages of the Almighty. They will only believe him when whatever he brings in the name of God should be in fact written and read out to them. The adjective mutahhara of pages is meant to indicate that these pages should be pure and untouched. Except for God and angels, no one among men and jinn should have touched them. Another condition is stated in the next verse, and that is fiha kutubun qayyima. This refers to the fact that the written pages should not contain tales and stories from here and there. They should have clear and unambiguous directives written in them so that they are able to readily know what their Lord has allowed and what He has prohibited. The word kutub is a plural of kitab. We have already explained its connotations and usages earlier. It was shown there that this word also means the directives of Sharia. Here in this verse it is used thus. The word qayyima means straight, clear and explicit. In other words, they desired explicit directives and did not want that unrelated directives be read out to them. Connoisseurs of the language well understand the acerbic ridicule inherent in this word uttered by these mischievous people. Their demand was that just as the 10 Commandments of the Torah had been written on stone tablets, similarly clear directives written on sheets should be brought to them by the angel. Only then will they accept the divinity of the Book of God. وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَةُ. The fact of the matter is that the people of the book differed only after such a clear sign had come to them. Since the demand mentioned in the previous verse originated from the people of the book, which they implanted in the minds of the Quraysh so that the latter use it against the Qur'an, the Qur'an has responded to this demand while keeping them in consideration. It is said that even if these people are shown a miracle on their demand, they are not the ones who would believe. Their own history shows that whatever Sharia they were given was given in the company of some miracles. Their Prophet Moses ﷺ showed them every now and then such signs of their God which were never ever shown to any people, such as the 10 Commandments of the Torah were written on tablets. Similarly, whilst taking the covenant of the Sharia from them, Mount Sinai was raised above them and 12 fountains were generated for them from a mountain. However, even after witnessing all these signs and miracles, the manner in which they fulfilled their covenant with the Sharia was that they started worshipping a calf fashioned out by Samari. The first great dissension that rose among them originated from this ugly incident, and it continued to increase with the passage of time. A time reached when the only thing common among them was difference. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ هُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. They had been directed to worship God alone, obeying Him exclusively with sincere devotion, and to show diligence in their prayer, and to pay zakah, and this is the religion of the upright nation. This is an example of the dissension mentioned in the previous verse. There was not a single fundamental tenet of religion to which they adhered. They had serious differences in every tenet of religion. So much so, they lost many of these tenets just because of this attitude. They had also been directed by the Almighty to adhere to monotheism, exclusively obeying Him and fully devoting themselves to Him. However, they ruined this basic teaching of religion. Right in the presence of their Prophet, they worshipped the calf, deemed Uzair to be God's son, and regarded their religious scholars to be partners of God. They were incriminated with sorcery and magic, and went as far as to worship the idols of other nations on which their prophets lamented in a very sad and moving way. Similarly, they were also directed to offer the prayer and pay zakah. As is explained in the tafsir of Surah Baqarah, they totally disregarded the prayer, and such was the extent of this disregard that the Torah even became devoid of its mention. The Torah does mention the ritual of animal sacrifice. However, the prayer finds no mention in it. Similar was the case with zakah. Though it did continue to exist in a formal way, yet instead of the poor and needy, the religious scholars of the Levites became its real recipients, and if anyone wants to have an idea of the stinginess of these scholars, one only needs to read how the Gospels and scriptures of other prophets portray their greediness. The words وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ, or and this is the religion of the upright nation, are actually an answer to their demand mentioned earlier by the words فِيهَا كُتُبٌ قَيِّمَةٌ, or in which are written explicit directives. The implication is that if these people really desired clear and explicit directives of religion, they had already been given them in the capacity of the upright and very natural directives of the religion of Abraham. Why did they then show total disregard to them? Similarly, this Qur'an is also informing them of clear and explicit directives. So why are they also getting after it? The whole implication is that all these questions raised by the people of the book originate from their jealousy. They wanted others to be deprived of the Sharia of God, just as they had deprived themselves of it. In the expression وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ, an ellipsis of the noun of the adjective al-qayyimah has occurred, which is customary in classical Arabic in the presence of some indication to such an ellipsis. The implied expression is وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْمِلَّةِ الْقَيِّمَةِ. The objective of this style is to refer to the fact that these are the basic directives of religion which were transferred to both branches of the family of Abraham as the heritage of its grand progenitor, Abraham. So what a pity if these branches try to become accomplices in opposing these teachings. It should be kept in mind that the Qur'an has introduced the nation of Abraham with the words Millatun Qayyimah. We have explained in detail the meanings of these words in an earlier discussion in this tafsir. Here I shall content myself in citing just one verse. قُلْ إِنَّنِي هَدَانِي رَبِّي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ دِينًا قَيِّمًا مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا. Say, my Lord has guided me to a straight path, which is the natural religion of the nation of Abraham, with complete devotion. Surah number 6, verse 160. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَالْمُشْرِكِينَ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ شَرُّ الْبَرِيَّةِ. This verse mentions the fate of people, whether from the people of the book or from the idolaters who were adamant in rejecting the Qur'an. Simultaneously, they are condemned for their conceit and pride, which was the reason for this rejection. In spite of being the recipients of the book of God, if they too turn blind like the idolaters, there is no reason that they be shown any lenience. It is also emphasized that hell shall be their eternal abode, and it will not be a temporary place of residence for them. Here it should be noted that a specific view of the people of the book referred to in the Qur'an is being criticized. According to this view, they thought that in the first place fire would not touch them, and if it did, it would not be for more than just a few days. The sentence أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ شَرُّ الْبَرِيَّةِ, or these very people are the worst of creatures, strikes at their pride and vanity. The condition to profess faith in the Qur'an imposed by the leaders of the people of the book and the idolaters, that unless an angel descends from the heavens whilst reciting untouched pages, or unless each of them is not handed open scriptures, they will not accept that Muhammad was truthful in his claim to prophethood, was because of their pride and vanity. As per this pride, they were not willing to obey and accept someone as a prophet of God who was inferior to them in worldly state. It was this pride of theirs which became a hindrance for them to accept the truth, whereas the truth, whether it is small or great, is from God, before whom it is essential for everyone to submit, whether he is a king or a slave. If a person rejects the truth, then he is from Satan's progeny, and the progeny of Satan are the worst of creatures, and hell is their only abode. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. Indeed, those who embraced faith and did righteous deeds, they indeed are the best of creatures. This is a mention of the servants of God who cleansed themselves from the stigma of conceit. For this reason, the respect for the truth remained intact in them. When they heard the call of the messenger, they did not make a demand similar to what was demanded by those overcome with conceit. On the other hand, they professed faith in the Book of God and did righteous deeds. The Qur'an has said that such people are the best of creatures. This is because the real value of a person is not on the basis of his wealth and resources, family and lineage, but on the basis of his intellectual and moral abilities. People who have these abilities are noble and of high status in the eyes of God, even if they are the slaves of Rome and Abyssinia. On the other hand, those who are devoid of these abilities are the worst of creatures in the eyes of God, even if they are leaders of the Quraysh and the Hashemites. While reading this verse, one should refresh in one's mind the scorns and rebukes of the Quraysh which they would hurl on the poor among the Muslims when they had newly embraced faith. After such a humiliating attitude towards them, who can imagine how happy these Muslims would have been after such praise for them from the Lord of the heavens and the earth? It should be kept in consideration that man is the best of God's creation, as is mentioned in Surah Bayyinah. The Almighty has created him in the best of molds with great abilities. If he recognizes his value, he is the best of God's creatures. No other creature of God can rival him. However, if he leads a life while remaining indifferent to his real value, he becomes the worst of God's creatures and a true depiction of Summa Radadnahu Asfala Safilin, or then we turn him to the lowest when he himself acted low. Surah number 95, verse 5. Then he falls into such disgrace that no other creature can match him. Just as there is no limit to man's ascent, there is no limit to his descent. What a splendid piece of advice is sounded by sages who have said, "Man, know thyself." جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك لمن خشي ربه. Their reward with Allah is the gardens of eternity beneath which rivers flow. They will dwell there forever. God is pleased with them and they with him. This is the reward of him who feared his Lord. Mentioned in this verse is the reward of those who are the best of God's creatures. Though they will have to go through the trials and tests destined for them in this world, however, they will have such gardens to live in with their Lord, below which rivers flow, and they will live in them eternally. We have explained the words Jannatu Adn elsewhere in this tafsir. The sentence Raziyallahu anhum wa radu an refers to the fact that these people would be pleased with their Lord and he would be pleased with them. God would be pleased with them because they fulfill their obligation of serving and worshipping him to the utmost and in the way he had told them to do so. They would be pleased with God because he not only fulfilled his promises, he also blessed them what they could not have even imagined. The last part of the verse, ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَشِيَ رَبَّهُ, says that this state will be achieved by those who fear their Lord even though they could not see him. The implication is that the foolish who want to believe only after witnessing everything from their eyes will continue to wander in darkness. No one can cure them. In this world, the real trial of a person is that while using his intellect and wisdom, he should profess faith in the realities of which he has been informed of by the prophets of God. He should not live with closed eyes and ears, nor should he wait to profess faith once everything is shown to him. Whoever succeeded in this trial would be worthy of being blessed by the Almighty with his favors. He who failed in this trial is worse than an animal and is not worthy of receiving any blessings from the Almighty. By the grace of God, with these lines, we reach the end of this surah's tafsir. Falhamdulillahi hamdan kathira. So profound gratitude be to God. Lahore, 14th March 1980 AD, 6th Jamadil Awwal, 1400 AH.